Basically, what we're gonna do, I like to try to keep these the interviews not too long, only because like people don't have like that much of an attention span, you know. Yeah. So,
well, I have the attention span for it. This is very important.
So we're gonna I'll try. I might not ask you every one of these questions. I might throw in some extra ones just because of like whatever we're talking about. It'll go along with that. So we'll try to stick with that. And all right, sorry to record. So let's go. All right, welcome to Dopish. Today I have a special guest, and we're gonna be talking about some real important things. So please pay attention to this episode and go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Ross M. Lambert, and I am a local social justice advocate and activist for the area from Petersburg to Richmond. You know, and I like to claim all of Virginia. You know, hopefully what I'm trying to do is going to promote others to do the same. With our situation, the plight that we are in with our justice system, the unfair treatment to minorities and those who are less impoverished, more impoverished than most, need to be able to gain the representation they need in these courtrooms to defend themselves. And with everything that's being said in the news these days, with police brutality, police misconduct, it's not just on the streets, it's in those courtrooms. And we need to bring light to that.
All right, how do you view your role in society?
Well, I consider myself, a caring person in society. You know, I try to look out for everybody that is, in my world, and we all have to be here amongst each other. We all have to respect each other. We all have to have a love for each other. One of my favorite words to use is agape. Agape is a biblical term that is meant for unconditional love. And I believe if we could strive to be there, to at least somewhere closer to that, we could have a more easier life and produce, a love that's in the world that only transcends to better things for everybody.
All right, okay. What's your education background?
I grew up in Chester. So I went to Harrogate Elementary and Carver. And then I finished at Thomasdale. Well, I didn't finish at Thomasdale. I finished and did homeschooling.
Okay.
So then I went on after that. I started school at 17 at John Tyler. Mm-hmm. And I didn't finish undergrad, but I was going there for CAD engineering and business management. So it was something that was my passion, but due to life and parents, I wasn't able to pursue that school much longer. So I ended up getting out of school. The reason was because father didn't want to take me. So he honestly didn't want to drive me back and forth to school because I started living with him. And
we'll see.
You get that?
I'm not going to start.
So it's from there. I've also had my education in the streets.
Right.
From school, I was diagnosed ADD at a young age. So with the drive of going to school was taken away, and issues between my father and me, they kicked me out, went to the streets, go out there, got into drug dealing, and it just wasn't the life I thought I was going to be living. I was raised as a witness, I was raised with certain morals, and this was totally going against who I was as a person. But I was a survivor. I was a fighter. So I did what I had to do, and any chance I had to get out of that situation, I took it. And so as far as I have an education, well versed in the street and in the books. I find myself to be, I like to consider myself pretty intelligent.
Pretty intelligent. Yeah. A very educated man.
Educated, yeah.
All right. So, what brings you here today?
Well, to discuss about what's happening in this world. Some of the incidents that's going on with me. Mm-hmm. As of 2018, I lost my house to a house fire. I do believe you might, about that house fire, Charlie and me.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in a trailer, and I had left the trailer to go to Kings Dominion, and fire started in my room, and lost everything. I was starting my business, Boogie Managers, which is a rating site for your employer. And the boogeyman scares kids, but the boogie manager scares adults. And my motto is changing the way the world works by changing the way we work together, bridging the gap between employee and employer. Because I live my life by the 5 B's. Better business brings big bucks. And when all the cogs in your business are oiled properly and everyone's happy, business moves rapidly and smoothly. So with that, I had to take a pause once the house fire happened to get myself back together.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, a week later, I was accosted by the police. I got pulled over on Willis Road due to tail light being out. And I was pulled over on Willis Road at the A Plus gas station. Upon pulling over, he came to the door, let me know why he pulled me over. Very polite officer at the time, and I couldn't say he was polite the whole time, It's just what he was doing that was improper.
Mm-hmm.
First thing he did was ask me to get out of the car. I was driving suspended. So, I was like, I can rock the boat. I should have been driving, and I buzzed a little bit that night because my mom took me out because of the house fire and treated me to drinks. So I was a little buzzed, so I just wanted to, work with the man. So he wants to show me my tail light on the trunk, on the car. So he asked me to open my trunk. I opened it, still being, appeasing him and everything, so make it easier for myself. And then he goes and asks for my ID and so forth and so on. There's body cam footage that I do have that I have acquired now that shows all of this. And I will let you have it so you can add it into the story to this interview. But I couldn't find my wallet, and at the time, so I immediately got distraught and I was upset. I started crying, and because everybody in my family was sending me GoFundMe money, and for the tragedy I lost.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes and he couldn't find my wallet, so he goes and asks me, for my social. I give him my social. He goes and runs it, asks me to go back to my car and sit in the car. I didn't sit in the car. I toured through my car looking for my wallet. You see me multiple times put my head down on the roof of the car, on the trunk, crying, looking through clothes I had in there, and couldn't find it. Upon that, he was approaching me. I have a black bag in my hand. From the top of the black bag, you see an orange, and I think you only can see the orange bag. And it was a black bag with potato chips in it. That was the last time I used my wallet. So I looked and said, maybe I just threw it in the bag. And it wasn't there. So I, frustrated, threw the bag into the trash can. Key thing is, once I throw that bag in the trash can, that cop is only maybe 10 feet away from me, 15 at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And you can clearly see on his body cam that I threw a black bag away. He then comes up and approaches me and said, look, Mr. Lambert, you're coming up as restricted. And do you know anything about this? I'm like, oh, of course I said no. Yeah, I'm an honest person, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, no. But in that time, I was like, I'm not going to let him know anything, but I'll be honest about that. And I was like, no, I did not. He says, look, I know about your house burning now. I wasn't working the shift. I came on after, but I heard about it, and I don't want to give you a hard time. Let me know that he would love to just let me go about my way, not to move the car, park it, because I knew the girl that worked there. I used to work for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So the one next to Hooters, though, right there on Chester, on West Under Road. She had came out to check on the situation, find out what's going on. And then he tells me, since she came in, he's like, look, since you know her, see if her mother can come and get your vehicle and whatnot. And I was like, thank you, I really appreciate it. As I turned to get into my car and look for my phone so I can make the call, he walks away from me whistling, which is I find kind of creepy. It's creepy now that what he did after the fact.
Yeah.
He whistles over to the trash can and he digs through it. And once he digs through it, he goes and pulls out a black scale. All right, little black digi scale. Digs in it some more, then gets out a white bag with a bank container, one of those tubes that you would find in, they come through with the bank, and the bank tubes. And it's filled up with weed. And it's 3 ounces of weed. 3 bags, each an ounce. He was like, "What is this, Mr. Lambert?" I'm like, turning around like, I said, "That has nothing to do with me." I said, "I threw a black bag of chips in that trash can." Which obviously, if I just threw it in as you walked up on me, it's gonna be on top.
Right.
Why would you have to fish through the trash can to get anything?
Right.
So, and also the color of the bag was like, it's a white bag. Now here's what I think he did at that time. I believe he went rummaging through the trash to pull the black bag out with it. Because when he puts it on the car, there's a white bag and a black bag. He never brings the black bag in as evidence. He only brings in the white bag.
But at that point, you were free to go.
Yes, he had told me I was free to go. And so whatever he did in this trash can had nothing to do with me.
Right.
If he felt that I had done something, and I'm glad you picked up on that, because if he would have found that I had done something suspicious, he should have said, Mr. Lambert, what did you just throw away?
Right.
Now, because he didn't do that, this is what made me think. I sprung his trap. I brought this up to Internal Affairs on multiple occasions, and they have told me that they reprimanded him for his actions. I have the letters, an investigation letters that they did against him, and
so it was a trap. It wasn't.
He was new on the force. He was 2 years on the force. It's the devil's in the details. It's the fact that he was new on the force, 2 years, and he was working on the task force that night in an area that he doesn't work. After everything that's transpired, I have to believe this officer was just trying to make a call up for himself. And once you see this video, you will know that as much as he did press me on the issue, he didn't really press me on the issue. There was no aggressiveness. Like I said, he was pretty polite the whole time. Other than the fact of making accusations on me. So it's like, the stop was well over an hour. Another officer came on the scene, a female officer, which is another thing. If you feel like there was a situation that, why would you bring more officers to the scene like they normally do? Right. It was only him for majority of the stop. And she came, I was already in handcuffs by the time she came. And he was trying to get the whole time for me to admit that this was mine. I said, at that time, I was saying, I don't know whose that is. I said, anything could happen to me that get there. I said, but I know it's not me, because you can go on your body cam. He said, if you have your body cam on and your dash cam, please look at it. I said, I did not throw a white bag away. And I threw chips away. Go look in the trash can and get the chips. They're in the trash can. Didn't even attempt to go in the trash can and just verify my story. And I've gone hunting. I've done trapping. I know you trap. If you're in the area of Willis Road for specifically drug trafficking that's going on around there, and high drug traffic that comes through there, and there's prostitution. There's a lot of things that go out on that street, and you were thinking this was going to be the perfect route to set somebody up. Yeah. The only place to turn where he was parked, I was coming down Willis Road going towards the highway. He was at the Sunoco parked in their parking spot. So I'm at the light. He's over here to my right, sees my taillights out, gets right behind me. There's nowhere for me to go but that A+. I've tracked. I know how to track an animal. You know where you set up things where you know, okay, they're not going to go this way because of this situation. These what's the word I'm looking for? Not hindrances, but obstacles in their way. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't go I wouldn't go across the street to the right, on the left for the gas station. I'm gonna go to and that's dark over there. With all these situations with the police shooting us young men.
You leave it where you went
I wanted to be in the most brightest lit area possible.
Right.
And I went to the first gas pump. The first gas pump that's in there. And I believe he placed those drugs in there. And the thing that pushed that narrative for me further was the fact that when we got to court, when my attorney and the Commonwealth asked them questions, the stories were completely different. And this is where it comes in with the judge and crooked. The judge did not call anything to notice when it came to the discrepancies he had in the story. This officer, when asked by the Commonwealth, never at any time mentioned asking me to get out the car and opening the trunk. Never mentioned it. Because it fits his narrative to not have me ordered out the car. He also said on his second approach, when he had a summons for me for driving suspended and my tail light, that's when he noticed the smell of marijuana. Now, obviously, that's why me not getting out the car in his first story fits his narrative. Because if you have me get out of a car and stand beside you and open the trunk, you're smelling me, bro. You're going to smell me. You know, why would it take the second approach on me to where before you smelled something?
Yeah.
You know? And I did admit to him, I had roaches in the car. I had a blunt in the car. It hadn't been lit yet. He left it there.
I'm glad he did.
Because here's the other thing. With the 3 ounces that he pulled out that trash can and a scale, and he was accusing me of it, this man only charged me with possession on the scene and allowed me to go home that night. Right? That goes to his, I want to say, his conscience and some sense of good morals due to the fact that he knew I just went through a traumatizing thing. I lost my dog. And she was a great dog, Cobra. And I lost my cat, Savai. And everything that I was using to build my future, you know, and where he was trying to be the good guy at the beginning, he still wanted to try to be the good guy. You know, like I said, there's, you know, people do become officers for good reasons. Mm-hmm. But there's, you know, everybody has their demons. And you never know what's going to cause that demon to rise.
Absolutely.
And it happened to be for him, was him to excel in his career. And he was willing to, you know, defame my character and slander me and commit perjury in that courtroom to push that narrative. The charges got trumped up to distribution later. So I'm sitting in front of my house, burnt out house, and me and Charlie were doing some cleaning the property. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting out, I'm smoking, you know, I have weed on me. And I went in the house and sent the scale. Grabbed the scale, pulled it out, brought it to the car, pretty much bringing anything in whatever we could salvage. And I was smoking at a grinder, and my cigarillo wraps. I had like 3 packs of cigarillos. And I had found burnt up wet weed that it was charred, you know, it was soaked and everything like that. And I just thought it was funny that it was there. So I grabbed it and pulled it out. So I'm sitting in the car smoking on fresh weed, which is like about maybe 12 grams. And officer knocks on the passenger side window. Damn. And I'm like, okay, why are you here? You know what I'm saying? So I go and, you know, open the car door, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I was cheaping that car out, so it didn't matter. You know, like, so I didn't know what he was there for at the time. But come to find out, he is there because he's there to serve a warrant and arrest me for possession with intent to distribute. They then took the possession charge and trumped it up and indicted me. Damn. So not only did they do that, they also charged me with another distribution charge because of the scale being in the car, and the amount of weed they said I had on me was 2 ounces. Then I had 2 ounces of weed. They weighed the marijuana with it being wet and with the fresh marijuana. And you could tell that marijuana that was there was burnt up, had plastic in it, it was wet, but they want to push their narrative. Damn. Just like the other officer did. So they trumped it and said, okay, now we got 2 distribution charges on you. I'm like, okay. And then they hit me with a coke charge. Cocaine charge. Yep, because of residue on the scale. And
they're just trying to find a reason.
They'll find anything. No. I would say this: if there's cocaine on the scale, they have every right to test it, field test it, and charge me. See nothing wrong with that, other than the fact of the testing is not 100% on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Take it to the
lab.
Take it to the lab. But still, charge me as you see fit. We went to court, and we didn't go to court for the original situation at the gas station. That was held off. They went to court for the situation in front of the house first.
Really?
Push the narrative. They had nothing on me at the gas station.
Yeah.
They had me in the car with marijuana and what they suspected to be cocaine on the scale. And I say suspected. So, we go to court, jury trial. And I'll tell everybody, the reason why I'm an activist and influencer to help people understand their rights and how to go and fight back in this courtroom and make sure your judge is held accountable and make sure your attorney, court appointed or paid, does everything you expect them to do.
Right.
Because they do work for you.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Now, with that situation, I had to do 3 months. I was only found guilty by jury for possession of marijuana. I had a grinder. I had roll-ups. I was smoking when you walked up on me. And the amount of weed that y'all had sitting in front of that jury, they could clearly see, especially with my testimony, that was burnt up weed. I had a house fire. That's proven that I had the house fire. And the other weed was just fresh weed from me to smoke. So, and found me innocent for possession of cocaine. They felt that I wasn't in possession of cocaine because, first of all, they said threshold. Now, I don't know if the testing came back. I never saw anything as far as testing on the substance, but what I believe the substance to be was the fire retardant foam that they shot into my house to put the fire out, and it got on the scale and dried up.
And they thought it might have been dried up cocaine.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
So it's funny how they'll do anything to get you in there, and they weren't worried about the 3 ounces of marijuana that they were claiming that I threw in the trash can. They were trying to say, look, we got to get this narrative pushed on this man, have convictions on him, and if we can get him for this, we'll get it. And the whole time I'm talking about the jury, my attorneys are telling me not to. And I say attorneys for one reason. The first attorney I had was an old, he was a dinosaur. I have video footage of his office. His name is Phil Roberts, showing how he kept it. It was trashy. It was terrible. I'm sitting in the rating area with people's documents and everything sitting right next to me.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And
no.
Then I recorded our conversation when we were in the court in his office, and he could not bring up the body cam footage for me on his computer. He said he had it, but his computer was out of date or whatever, and he couldn't pull it up. All this is in this on the recording. We spoke about how he felt that he was going to be able to defend me. He felt like this. He was a fish out of water with this, and he told me himself, "Oh, Judge Robinson's going to find you guilty." I'm like, well, is he psychic? I mean, are you psychic? Are you psychic that you know that this judge is going to do this? Or do you know this is something this judge does on a regular? He does not care about the evidence.
Right.
Because obviously I have evidence right here that shows I'm innocent. And since we can't view it and he can't see it at the time, we got to say that this judge is going to do what he wants to do. And I was in awe by that. And I was like, I will not lead this case to a judge.
No.
I went jury. I was advised by my attorney that he should be removed as my counsel, and we did so. He went into the courtroom, made a motion to recuse himself, and I was reprimanded and assaulted by the judge. Then he goes to tell me that, Mr. Lambert, your lawyer is a lawyer for a reason. He knows his job, and he's been at this job for a long time. And if you're going to make it difficult for your attorney to work for you or work with you, this case is not going to end well for you. My lawyer at that time stood up multiple times, 3 to be exact, to tell this judge it's not me. There's other reasons why I can't help Mr. Lambo with this case. He didn't want to talk bad about himself, and who would talk bad about themselves? That man's not going to go up and say I'm shitty at my job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm not going to sit there and defend this man either. We're both on the same page, but I'm the one being chastised by the judge for it. And eventually, he goes and says, if you don't remove me as his counsel, Mr. Lambert will contact the State Bar Association. And Judge Robbins said, oh, we can't have that. And then removes him. The next lawyer I got was Matt McCullough. He has a son named, it's Mike McCullough. He has a son named Nate. The judge appoints the father as my next attorney. I give him a call, leave a message. He calls me back, leaves a message. Says, I think you're talking about my son. I'm like, no, it's your name, I wrote it down. He goes and we could finally get in contact with each other. He was like, okay, well, I'm a homicide defense attorney. I'm like, bang! I like that. You know what I'm saying? You can go after the big cases.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
So he even goes to tell me, like, okay, I don't handle these kind of cases. And I'm like, well, you were court ordered to. Because a court order is a court order, right?
Right.
Your court order is my attorney. He was like, well, okay, I'll handle your case. I go to court for the first initial, proceedings, to set up jury and whatnot, and or to petition for the jury properly, because the first attorney wasn't able to do it because he stepped down, and so I was looking for him to do this. We go to court to have him officially appointed as my attorney, and he's not there. Doesn't even show up. And I'm given another attorney. This attorney was, what is that attorney's name? I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on the name. He's going to come to me later, though. Now, I was appointed the next attorney. He's the one that seen me through at the incident in front of my house. Okay? And he talking about a headache I had with this man to make sure he argued the points I wanted to argue. How he felt like, that's not going to be allowed. This is not going to be allowed. There were so many things that weren't going to be able to be allowed that was in my benefit. And he even himself said, you don't want to do a jury, man. The jury doesn't know the law. They don't know what, you should get as far as time and whatnot. And I'm like, but they're people.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're not going to have any, imbeciles up there in the jury.
Right.
So have you ever sat through a jury selection process? It is extensive. They go over everything possible to let to pick these people that are going to oversee this case. And from, do you have family and law enforcement, even as a fire department, any kind of EMS, anything that deals with police, are you in contact with them to where you're going to be impartial? Do you have convictions for marijuana? They'll make you side with Mr. Lambert. They make sure they let them know you have to make a decision based off the law, and which that's not true. People are always going to do what they want to do. And but all in all, when we went to trial, I was subsequently found guilty for simple possession. Now, I did my 3 months. I had to go and do my time starting February 24th. In that time span, I was, before I was convicted on the 14th, of January. My license was suspended prematurely on the 10th of January, which you don't get suspended until you've actually been convicted. So I don't know how I was suspended early. That comes into play later. So I go and go do my time. I return myself in for my sentencing day. I go in February 24th, and I was released, sadly, on the day that George Floyd was murdered. I got out on May 25th. I was released during the time of the height of the coronavirus and the protest against police brutality and the monuments, Confederate monuments in Richmond. Of course, I went out there, enjoyed the atmosphere, and I felt like this is something that I wanted to be a part of in a whole nother way. And I thought of how I was going to do my part to bring, justice to those who aren't getting it, to give knowledge and strength to those who need it. And when it came down to me deciding to finish up my fight first, so I can be freed up to do what I needed to do, because facing almost 30 years in jail is something that will stress you out.
Right.
I wasn't able to work during the situation. I was stressed out, afraid. At many times, I was pulled over for nothing by the police. I even have recordings of that where I've been pulled over. They had put bolos on me. I got pulled over in Richmond. They said I ran a light coming on Chamberlain, and then I made improper lane changes. I had that body cam footage. The lawyer that represented me in that was a young black woman by the name of Ashley Jones. And the attorney, when she saw the footage, she was like, Mr. Lambert, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to give you your body cam footage. You need to see this. We're just going to say basically that you are, you couldn't get to me and come to my office, and you have the right to review any evidence that it has against. So she sent it in an email that self-destructed. It's kind of not like bond writing. Yeah. It literally said in the email, after 24 hours, this video will no longer be available. Lucky for me, I'm tech savvy. I was able to pull that video out of that email and save it for myself.
Okay.
In this footage, the officer approaches me, and he just says, pulled you over for, blowing through that light. I'm like, actually, I didn't. That's what I was about to say, and describe the situation. He was like, and you made improper lane changes, even though you use your turn signals. Then what is an improper lane change? Now, if I use my turn signal,
right?
So on Chamberlain, you have the right side of the road where people park on the street. As I'm in the right lane, and it was a Dodge Magnum. It was not Dodge Charger, police car, white police car that was behind me. I get over using my left turn signal to just merge over enough to let people know that they were in the left lane, that I'm coming over to get around these cars, and I had to do it twice. Now, maybe he meant that when I came back over, I didn't use my right turn signal to come back over. Maybe, but I never left the right lane completely. All I did was get over enough to where I got around the cars.
Right.
So they get behind me. They say I'm slow rolling. He's not stopping. When I stop, they get in the car. They make accusations about me throwing something out. He asked me to get out of the car. I'm like, why am I getting out of the car? I'm like, do what you do. Ask me for my ID. Ask me all this stuff. And the officer on the other, now this is the young black officer that came to my door. And the officer that was on the passenger side was a white officer and a Henrico officer. Okay, so he was the one driving the car. Now the Richmond officer, who's part of the drug task force, which the Henrico officer was only helping out that night, he gets out on the passenger side of this car, so he comes over to my driver's side. He goes and proceeds to, say what he said, call me dog, not using any proper,
just
adjectives to address me properly. Didn't know that address me properly. I was in a pair of sweatpants and a beater. So he then asked me if I had any weapons in the car. I said no. As he's trying to get me to get a car, I'm like, no, I'm messing with my phone at the time, trying to call my cousin. And she doesn't answer at the time. So you can hear it's hard to hear at the time, but you'll hear the white officer from Henrico, well, smell the odor. We smell the odor of marijuana. That was never brought up. He wanted me on my car immediately. He never mentioned any smell of marijuana.
Right.
He goes and then says, yeah, there's the odor of marijuana. The officer on my passenger side cued him to say this for probable cause to make me step out of my vehicle. He asked me, well, Mr. Lambert, do you have any weapons or anything? I'm like, no, there's no weapons in this car. I was trying to hold my door closed. I verbally refused him. I put my hand on my door to tell him I don't want him to open it. Didn't, struggle with him at all. I let him open it, but I just kept my hand there showing that I did not want him to open it. I even verbally told him this. He proceeded to then go and asked me to step out, get me out of the car. So they turned around so he could pat me down for weapons. And as you know, they do their little step by step, until they said, okay, now you're going to handcuffs. Yeah. Because I'm being jumpy. The video, I'm not jumpy. I'm inquisitive about why y'all stopping me and what have I done wrong to where y'all want me out the car. And which is also another thing that Ms. Jones was able to get her hands on. That they had a bolo on me to watch out for my car. So if any cop wearing those plates, you pull that person. And they went and put me in handcuffs, said I was being fidgety, making them nervous. Even asked me, are you buzzing for us? What does that mean? You want people to be out here drunk so you can get callers?
What?
Are you buzzing for us? That is like, for y'all, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I'm not. I haven't been drinking. They did no sobriety test. They didn't run a dog on the car. They literally went to the middle console immediately and searched it, which is improper. Police training shows you that, and which is also important in both these incidents, is police training. Mm-hmm. In the first incident, officers, I've been stopped. Officers normally don't just ask you to get out your car and for a tail light.
Right. Unless there's like a real reason, like you're swerving and shit. Yeah. That's
officer's not going to ask you to open your trunk.
Right.
To show you the tail light. But like I said, I wanted to comply simply because I knew that was driving suspended. You know what I'm saying? So in that situation, now in this situation, they didn't know who they had. They didn't run anything. The tags on the car are in my cousin's name. Everything that came back on the check came back clear. He had no reason, and my cousin has no criminal record.
Right.
So
there's no reason.
There's no reason to suspect that I would be dangerous in any way.
Right.
So, all in all, y'all just wanted me out that car because of that bolo, and y'all knew this was the car to watch, even though my name's not on those tags. I knew they had to watch for these tags. And you pulled me over, and then the procedure was when it comes to searching your car with body cams, you start with the door. You clear that door area. Mm-hmm. Then you go further into the car. You clear the seat.
Yeah.
Up under the seat.
You don't go straight to the middle.
Yeah, you don't go straight to the middle because while you're in the middle, what's going on behind you?
Right.
That we can't see. So he goes and it's comical and sad, the behavior of these officers. They're searching the car. He sees, blunt spray. Oh, that sign right there. No, it's not. I mean, for all that, then you might as well just go to every store and start tearing their stores up because they got blunt spray.
Yeah.
Come on. So then he goes and the other officer opens up my glove box. Crown Royal bag. Green Crown Royal bag. Pulls it out. He says, there we go. Gets the flashlight out. Puts the flashlight all the way in the bag. Find nothing. He says the Crown Royal bag had failed me. And it's like y'all have this classic way of, like you group everybody in together when it comes to pulling them over. Like, just because you saw a Crown Royal bag doesn't mean that there's weed in it.
Right.
Why would you assume that with everybody you see with a Crown Royal bag? Like, so if I came out the gas station and bought a Crown Royal and then had the bag, are you gonna follow me now? Because he's gonna put weed in there. It was wild for me.
Oh man.
And like this is the situation. Like I didn't get to see this footage and everything like that until later. So once he FLs him, he then goes and moves to the chair, the driver's side. He reaches up on the car, the seat. Oh, what we have here? Immediately. What we have here? Bag of weed. So did you get all the way down to look up under to see what you were grabbing? That could have been a bag of anything. Guts.
Yeah.
It could have been anything that was in that bag. Why'd you assume it was automatically marijuana? All right. So he goes and grabs it. He brings it over. He doesn't secure the evidence. He throws it on his truck, on the hood of the car. He asks a couple officers, anybody got a scale? They joke around. They're talking about it. Well, actually, I skipped the spot. While he was pulling the marijuana from up under the seat, he says, anything else? And the officer asks, is that all? He says, I was about to put a gun on him. He talks about, and this is why this lawyer gave me the body cam footage, and this case was dismissed. And they are literally sitting there talking about planting a gun.
What the fuck?
And now, I would like to get a voice analyst on it because, he says, I almost threw a gun on him, or I almost drew
A gun
on him. So
either way, it's still
wrong. Well, I didn't warrant a gun being drawn on me.
No.
First of all, and it was definitely don't warrant having a gun planted on me.
Right.
Now the reason why I'm stuck on the almost threw a gun on him is what it said later by another officer and his reaction to what that officer says. But as he walks to the car, he goes and he's talking to the officer. Anybody got a scale? Officer, white officers, by this time it's like almost 15 officers out there.
Damn.
And someone driving by, SUVs and everything, asking what's going on and whatnot, and stopping down the road and just chill. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, obviously, these many cops already got the situation handled. And I believe it's about 20 to 25 officers on the drug task force originally. So, I think that you would, one of these officers out doing something else other than just sitting here for a bag of weed.
Right.
Now, he goes and then tells me, when he goes back and approaches the car, they're asking me to, the other officers are asking me to admit, if this is mine, how much is it? You might as well just tell us. We'll guess, and we'll just make it a half ounce, and we'll take you to jail tonight. And I just told him, okay, if you want to do that. And I said, I'll be out. I got a family reunion to go tomorrow. And they want me there. I said, my family will be bonding me out tonight. You know what I'm saying? I got the money to bond out tonight. I know a bondsman is going to come get me tonight. So we can play that game if you want to. So obviously, my bravado, obviously let them know like now he's wasting their time and paperwork. So they decide not to go that route. As the officer goes back to the car to search the other side, after the other cop had already searched that side, while he was searching for the side, he goes, and then another officer walks up on him. What we gonna, you find a gun? He didn't, man, shut up, ain't no gun. Said it with irritation in his voice, like he was being bothered. But one of his fellow officers pissed you off by asking if there was a gun, why'd you get all ornery about it?
Yeah.
So from there, he then goes and approaches the trunk. He don't even look through the trunk, honestly. He opened my trunk and saw this shit. And he was like, I'm not going through it. He moved a couple stuff around. Then he goes and goes to his car. He starts, doing his thing. This whole time, this marijuana that he supposedly found under my seat, it's been sitting on the car, the front of his car, not secured in no way. The craziest thing is though, is that since it hadn't been secured from jump, it is still unsecured. He grabs it, brings it into the car with him. And as they're sitting there, someone has stepped in some dog shit. It was spoken on before he even got in the car. People were smelling shit, someone stepped in it. An officer comes up and approaches him and says, yo, let me see the weed. I gotta get smell the dog shit out of my face. He hands this evidence over to another officer that did not find it, walks off with it. Which I don't even understand why he walked off with it.
Yeah.
Why not just hand it to me and then give it back to him right there in front of the camera? This man walks off with this. And I don't know if they were thinking about trying to switch it out what they wanted to do with it. All I know is that's not proper police training and etiquette when it comes to dealing with evidence.
Right.
That's your evidence. You secure the evidence. You signed that badge, so you're the one to secure that evidence. But you just handed it to another officer to smell it.
That's wild.
And you're the drug task force.
That's wild. That don't even make no sense.
No, man, and it's like, I mean, I know right now as I'm telling you all this, you know, you're like, come on, nah, this is a movie. This is something. Nah, all this stuff is gonna happen to you. I have footage.
You got the proof. You got the proof.
And it's like, you know, when I go back, they release me. They also tell me, I even asked about being comical at the end. I was like, so what do y'all do now that, you know, 18-year-olds aren't allowed to smoke cigarettes. So if you pull me over and, you know, the smell of cigarettes was in the car and I had somebody at the age, were you going to, because I don't smoke cigarettes. So, I mean, would you ask me if I did?
Yeah.
And then if I told you, no, I don't smoke cigarettes, would you say, well, why are those cigarette butts in that, what you call it, in the ashtray? And would you then accost my, you know, people in the car, if they were under the age of 21 to smoke cigarettes? Would you make them, I don't know what you would do to them. I don't know, charge them with it. But they're like, yeah, we don't know how to work that out yet. You know, that's what we said. I'm like, yeah. So they're like, look, man, look, we can't do nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? We will give you summons. Look, we ain't gonna babysit you. If you want to pull off, by all means, pull off.
So they didn't charge you for the weed?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, they charged me.
Oh, but they let you go that night?
They let me go, yeah. So, but the thing is also, I was driver suspended that night. Now,
So,
the reason why these are important is I was hindered by getting my license back, you know, due to the judge, and he did multiple things to make it hard for me to get my license back. First of all, at this point in time, this is still only right after I got charged. It's like in August that I got pulled up by Richmond, and what was it, August? What was it? I gotta check that. But he goes and tell me, so I go on, make it to my cousin's house, which is right up the street, and went to my favorite unit the next morning. And of course, I told you the outcome of that. Case was dropped. They were offering me all sorts of deals. You know, just take a $25, you know, fine. We can just give you community service, all this. I'm not doing nothing. I want it dismissed. And it wasn't all process. It was dismissed. You know, so now, I mean, any prosecuting attorney could see what these officers did,
right?
And that this would not hold water. But they themselves do not care. They wanted me to bow out so they can get a win. Let's just hope that this guy is, you know, mentally unstable, maybe, and that's where they get most of their convictions from people being unknowingly mentally disabled. You know, there's a lot of people out here that's never been, you know, to a psychologist. There's never been, you know, checked by a mental health professional, and these people are going through life as if they're living normally and having outbursts and having, you know, reactions and things, and they don't understand why. Right. And when you get in this situation, when you come to dealing with the courts and these people that lord over you, you don't know how you'll react. Just to be out of that situation, as long as you know you get to go home, you'll say, yeah, I did it. Yeah. It's just as long as I get to go home, or at least I know I'm not going to be locked up for a long time. They'll sit there and scare you with years. Oh, you got 10 years in your head for this, buddy. 10 years for this, 10 years for that. You know, they're talking about 30 years over my head. You know, hoping that I would just go and plead out for a year so they can have that conviction on my record. And I wasn't going to do that. I was one of those people. You know, I knew I was ADD, but I come to find out I'm bipolar, unspecified. So I'm all over the spectrum. And when I realized that, you know, due to my father and my stepfather both being, you know, psychologists, I was able to hone in on what was wrong with me now. And I was able to now realize, like, yeah, this wasn't anything where I felt like I was trapped. You know, I was also older now, so I knew and paid more attention to what was going on in me in these situations. And younger, a little more less educated when it came to the law and what was going on. My first time ever dealing with the law was at the age of 21. So, longest time I've been in jail is 6 months. And, and that wasn't a violation, you know, but it was just, you know, for me, I just knew I didn't want to be there at all for a month.
Right.
I'm not gonna let y'all put me in when I'm not. I mean, you know, and I think also what helped me with that is I was a cage fighter, and I was always a fighter in school. If I saw somebody getting picked on, I stood up for them. I protected them, and I believe what ended up happening was when I was hit in 2014 by a 14-year-old kid driving his mom's vehicle, and the mom was in the car letting him drive, and they hit me on my right side, where I received injuries to my elbow right here. The mirror hit my elbow as I was trying to turn away to miss it, and this was on Heritage Road. And Heritage Road is not a street to play around.
Right.
The thing is, I grew up in Somerset. You know, I used to be on the dirt hills, everything. I don't know if you ever heard of Sherry Powers.
No.
She was kidnapped and murdered when she was 10. She was 2 years older than me, and she was my sister's friend. And she was kidnapped by 2 guys at the Hardee's, where the skate land is. And they molested her, raped her, and mutilated her.
Damn.
And she actually buried in a shallow grave right there where they have the Chick-fil-A at now. But we used to be all up and down that road, riding our bikes, going to a little corner store that's right there on Heritage Road. So I knew as an adult I could handle the road, but I wasn't prepared to have a 14-year-old that did not have no car. And when they struck my elbow as I was trying to avoid it, the speed, me trying to turn away, it had a drawstring bag on my back. And that bag got caught by that same mirror and it flung me back into the car. And I rolled across the car. So I don't fight anymore. But I feel like in a way it's a blessing because it made me focus here. My aggression, my anger issues usually, showed through me being physical. I wasn't a crier. If you did something to hurt me, I was gonna hurt you back. But when I got hit by that car, it messed my body up. And
you had to focus that energy somewhere else.
Yeah, I had to know how to control it now. Because I couldn't just go in the ring and beat the crap out of somebody to get that aggression out of me. Because I used to hold it in, and I was like, at least I get to go to my match and I'll get to wail on this dude. But when I couldn't do that no more, I was like, I gotta find something else to do. I gotta find something to break the cycle. And so that's when I got the help I needed. And it's the reason when I ended up doing this 6 months of violence, I got lied on by a female. And said I assaulted her. And this was in a gas station. And this girl, I knew her. I snuck up behind her and scared her. And she got mad. And reported this, I assaulted her. Said I grabbed her ass. Well, no, she said I humped on her. I came up behind and humped her. Now, if I did that, it would be sexual.
Right,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
I wasn't charged with that. I was charged with simple assault. And because I was already on probation for a Schedule 1 of possession of Adderall, which I'm ADD, but I didn't have any prescriptions on me. And because I am all over the place at the time and not focused, I didn't go get the stuff I needed to go protect myself. I honestly put my faith in Cassandra Conover, which was the prosecuting attorney at the time, the head prosecuting attorney in Petersburg. I went to her because she is a relative of mine, and I thought I was going to be good. I believed if they found me guilty, nothing was going to happen to me, or this case was going to be dropped because she's the head prosecuting attorney. That did not happen, and this shows the deep roots that people have. Family members have turned on family members throughout history.
Right.
And for her career was way more important than her love for me. This woman, I would come to her office and sit about and talk about all sorts of things and my dreams and what I want to do, stories I was writing, my goals. I'm boogie managers. It was one of those. And for her to just sit there and allow me to catch a felony for Adderall. And she knew I was ADD.
She didn't try to help out.
It was like she didn't try to help out. I didn't go do 11 years. Because all it was Adderall. There was Xanny. There were 2 Xanny bars. Along with, I think it was 4 or 5 pills of Adderall. So I'm like, well, okay. Now, here's the other thing. The pills weren't mine. I got the car from some dope addicts that sold the car to me. And it was in a bag with this woman's stuff in it because it was trash. None of that mattered. I told her this. She told me, look, just plead guilty. You're not gonna have to worry about no time and deal with it. And I was still a young man. I was at the age of, I believe I was 27 at the time. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to jail for 11 years. You know what I'm saying? And I'll plead out. I went on. But since I did that, when this woman did this to me and lied on me, it made me have to go do 6 months on violation. So I did my 6 months on that. Got out. Went in to, pedal to the metal, get my life back together, working at the gas station, the 8+ the one I said that I worked with. And that's how I knew the girl that at the stop for the trash can incident. Trash weed, I'm gonna call it that. The trash weed incident. So when you're dealing with all these situations and everything, things can compound on you. Your focus falls, on things. You get depressed and you don't handle it. When that situation happened to me, that's what I knew when I flipped out and actually, because before I actually went to go do the time for 6 months, I was working at Logan's Steakhouse. I was a cook. And when I was so upset about the situation that when I found out what she was doing and they were looking for me constantly, it would been up to my job. I didn't know what was going on. So I called a detective I knew in Petersburg to run to see what was going on. Mm-hmm. They were looking for me not because they didn't come to my job because of the warrant. They came to my job because of a post. And my post was indirectly, I guess, threatening the police. Like, I'm tired of y'all arresting me and coming after me. And instead of doing some kind of investigation, investigate before you let people just take warrants out on you, on a person. Find out what the truth is. Ask this person their side of it first. Right. Before you just let this person, you don't know what is going on in my life. You have a great job. As soon as you get arrested on that job, you don't have that job no more. Mm-hmm. Even if you get proved that you did not do it. You know what I'm saying? Or didn't do anything. It ruins your life. It's embarrassing. And, and then the courts don't do nothing about if it's proven that you're innocent. They'll go after the person and charge you. They don't make sure they get charged for perjury, right? Lying in court. They don't do that. They make you want to do it. No, you do it. And sometimes you still have the time to do that. And that's one of the things you have. So many people do that all the time. Even people that have been locked up. Things happening in the jail, improper treatment. Once they get out, they don't even think about it no more. I'm out on the street. But where's the love for the other men or women that are in that same situation? Innocent until proven guilty. If they are guilty, they're still human beings. And in those situations, they need to be called to the forefront to where they can be handled and dealt with. Because you never know when you're going to have to go back in or a loved one would. Right. And you don't want them to have to go through those same things. But when I went and got the help I needed and realized what was wrong, and I got the counseling I needed and spoke to my counselor to trust mental health, she helped me understand, like, well, Rasa, you can't let stuff stay in you. You gotta let it out. Talk about it. You can't fight, but you gotta talk. You gotta let it be known. And I'm using my voice. That was what made me realize that I can still fight. I'm not dumb. I was blessed with a brain, and I will use it, and that will be my weapon and my heart. And it's through those. One of my mottos is I was forged through injustice. Through injustices, I was forged. And when these things come at you from back to back to back, it can seem overwhelming, but you have to focus on the good. Mm-hmm. You gotta focus on the good. Absolutely. And the way I felt good is me taking the negativity and inverting it to where I use it to help others and make sure they didn't have to go through the negativity. You have it happen all the time. Women who have been assaulted, beat on, or through domestic violence. Children have been through molestation in their life. They go out there and they become advocates for those things that happen to them and those injustices and help that change. And I will do the same thing. I receive a lot of backlash or giggles and grins at what I do on the side to do my part. And I just take it as like I'm doing something. I'm a strong believer in God, and I love God and fear Him. and I feel like I have a duty, and as long as I have that duty, I will do so, and do everything in my power to correct what I can, and to bring knowledge to those. Was there anything else you wanted me to more directly?
Most of the questions that I was gonna ask, you like kind of answered.
Yeah, I went over the questions. Yeah, I went over the questions. So I kind of do. And
well, with all that was done, what were your views? What are your views about cops? Like, how were your views before all of this happened to you, and what are your views towards them now?
Well, and this is actually going back again, because actually my first incident with an officer, I was 20. I actually fought the police in Richmond PD. As far as police, there was a Detective Farmer I knew growing up. I liked him. He was a cool guy. I would go to Willow Lawn and not Willow Lawn, but where is it at? It's Commonwealth 20. Out there, go down go to Commonwealth 20. He would be working there when he was just a beat cop. You know, there was a dude from New York that was out there, man. Like me and my boy waiting in line, and but I had to go to the bathroom, so I went to the bathroom real quick and came back and got in the line again. So, but I'm behind my boy, so the dude's there. It's like, yo, you ain't gonna just jump me in my son. I'm like, whoa. Like, bro, I was here first. I just went to the bathroom, and I was like, I said he was being irate. I'm like, yo, dude, I was here first. I just went to the bathroom. My people's were right here. I said, you and your son enjoy the show. He was like, what you mean by that? And then, Detective Farmer, he came, Officer Farmer at the time, he came and approached me, and he was like, all right, look, y'all chill out, and everything like that. So he was always a good officer. But when I was 20, in Richmond, we went to the pizza place outside waiting for pizza. And there was a white lieutenant standing outside with a white shirt, and they were spraying and misting with the fire extinguishers, pepper spray. So they're just in the air trying to disperse crowds, which is not right, because people are waiting for the light to change across the street.
Yeah, there's innocent people around,
and you never know what you could trigger with somebody doing something like that. So I, speaking to my friend, I was like, bruh, like, I just want to get some pizza, not choke on pepper spray. That's what's going on. Why are you doing all this shit? The lieutenant's standing right next to us. You know what I'm saying? So he is like, we out here watching out for dumb motherfuckers like you. Now that's this transpired. We're still walking towards the door up against the brick wall. And I'm just like, whatever. So by this time we at the door, I flick him off. Unfortunately, a black deputy, and I don't know if you ever been to the pizza place right there on the corner.